My listeners have come back with faith because I want to exhaust Abraham now that the next time we start on somebody else. Ooh, faith has its price. Don't fool around with the faith. Painful. Somebody said, I have always wondered, by the way, I even asked this when I was in the class taking theology, that why was God asking Abraham to go away from his place? Couldn't he continue with him where he was? There's several answers. Both are some are cultural and some are environmental, as we will definitely see. But maybe I can also add and imagine the ridicule of the villagers, nearby villager. What has happened to our chief? What has happened to this prosperous man? Gods have conspired against him, and they have taken away his wheat. Yes, those are serious accusations and talking. Can he continue to stay in that same place comfortably? Can he? These are the issues we who take theology as a profession, we have to face and go underneath their background, and we analyze them and we understand. You see? And we understand. True, as we will find out, Yahweh he had to bow to a pressure of having land. It is not Abraham who was looking for land. It was Yahweh himself bowing to the cultural and environmental issues. Why? Immediately when he told Abraham that move with all your people to a land I will show you, then Abraham, that statement alone made Abraham to conclude that he has a God who has a hegemony element in his mind. What do I mean by hegemony? That this God wants to become a national God, because by culture in those days it was, you cannot be, there's no God who can become a national God unless he has land. See, he has already flashed about land. That land is not Abraham's land, it is God's land, because lands were also God's lands. Yes, you see, it may not materialize tomorrow, but it was a start to show Abraham that while your former God whom you chucked made you rich and made the villagers to look at you in a very favorable angle. For example, for me, I am coming here not only to be a homestead God, yes, but I want to qualify all the three ladders until I reach the climax of my study or of my journey, so that I can now do my thing of saving. Which thing? Let me break that is sentence further. That I am looking for land and I am taking you there to see that land. Yes. And I'll promise you that one day I am going to be a god of this land, a nation now. That means I will qualify to become a national god. The previous god hadn't come to that level yet, but he had expanded to villages. But this one is talking in terms of land. Yes. And that far, that is the only what Abraham's grasp could end. That's why God did not talk too much about universalism. But there's a statement somewhere that people will come from all over, but it is contendable whether it isn't an acronym. You see, while it may be contendable, but Abraham is shown a picture that he's in for a bigger issues. You see, yes, he's in for bigger issues than simple sheep, cows, women, money, or what have you. No. This God has come for bigger issues, which can only be explained slowly, piece by piece, slowly by slowly. You can't simply exhaust it so quickly. Abraham lived. Abraham had already exercised enough faith. That's why living is taken as a faith, because Abraham was now seeing bigger ambition of his God. He would have refused that. No, I can't go anywhere, my God. This is where this is where I was born, and I am doing very well. I have seen many people migrate, but myself, I have never run into a situation which precisely demanded my migration. Besides, migration has a lot of complications, given the size of my homestead. Because Abraham is going to migrate with people like 500 in number, 500 people. If we took the other Lot's house, 500 perhaps, and 500 moving from Mesopotamia to Canaan, passing through city states, and kings are always very hyper and nervous when bigger groups are approaching their area. They are ready to attack and then fight. All of those were hazardous situations. Food, for example. You see, you don't tell somebody of 500 people in size that you move to where? How can we feed? How can we eat? Because they are going to live their families and foodstuffs, name it, and all those complications combined. It is a thorough discussion, other than a simple command, which we say, Abraham, move from this land to a land I will show you. To a land you will show me? Yes. Why move? Why? The culture also has an answer to that. Yahweh was saying, your culture says, I am not becoming only a homestead God. And here, where you are in Mesopotamia, there is already a national God. Therefore, I can't become another national God here. We can't have two national gods in per culture and by environment contending the same nation. You can't. Don't you see? Either the able God who wants also to compete to become a national God had to move to elsewhere. And so God did not choose to shake the national God of Mesopotamia. There was a homestead God. And then from a homestead God, you become a national God. And so God is preparing his place and is promising Abraham that you better leave this very area, because here I cannot become a national God with the method he wants to use. We will survey all of that. We will survey the method he used. He couldn't remain in Mesopotamia. Gods became national gods, and they moved from being national gods and they became universal gods by fighting. But God is going to choose somehow a different method, and we are going to survey that one too. True, there will be some fighting afterwards, but the method is going to be different. So, if he's planning to have a different method, no way he could have remained in Mesopotamia as just another god. He would have remained there as a homestead god only for years and years and years. Yet his aim was to become a national god. Yet, even the population he was looking for was not even there ready. Now he's beginning to talk to Abraham when it is remaining almost 600 years for him to fulfill his ambition. However, he has now laid the basis in Abraham's mind that I am not a God who is contented with being a homestead God. 2, I am a homestead God, yes, but I don't want to use the same methods per se as the culture demands. I will change it a bit into something else, you see, and then fighting later. I will not, God would have been patient for, 500 years more to go to conquer village by village, never here and there, and then so on and so forth, fighting his way out. But there wouldn't be Sinai, there wouldn't be Exodus, you see, as we will discover. So he's planning what we may call his strategic plan could not work well with Abraham remaining in Mesopotamia. But it can work well to a new area where he will say, now you see this land? Yes, I promise this is going to be for your descendants. Abraham didn't possess Canaan. He only had a place for burial, poor man. As I tell you in my book, The Defenseless God, he didn't possess Canaan. But Abraham knew very well that one day, again, we are back to faith. You see, with God, my dear friend, you can go nowhere without the umbilical cord of faith. Look at all of those, all that inconveniences which Abraham had to encounter. Poor man, leaving his land. But this is the call now. You see, when God calls, it isn't always honey and sugar and sweet for you to suck on. Sometimes can be very bitter. You see, yes, you know so well that Abraham, where he went, famine came in that land because there was no food to feed so many people of his entourage. You see, and there was always fighting. See, skirmishes here and there. When he came into contact with the states kings, who feared the large numbers, many of those used the culture of that time of invasion by sending, when a war crier said, we see a group of people approaching and they may be dangerous, and the culture in those times, the leader sent a messenger who can't be killed. Even if you are a hostile group, you don't kill a messenger. He will ask you, are you coming in peace, or you are a foe or an adversary? Your work is only to answer one of those. We are adversaries, or we are friends. We are friendly. We are just passing through. And that was always what Abraham had to meet wherever he was moving to Canaan. Some were hostile people, some were friendly, some welcomed so that he can pass in their land. Some said, no, you can't pass directly. Go that way, make this detour. It was not so smooth simply because Yahweh has said go. This is the way he works. As long as we are on this planet, you people, when he chooses you to be his messenger, be ready for an attacks. Be ready for any hatred. You see, yes. But don't give up. Hang on with your message, come what may. Those who wanted to listen, they will listen. Or God will help you to change them. Those who don't want, don't worry about them. You didn't produce them. They are God's people, so he will know what to do with them. You only do your duty. But look at this poor man Abraham, who was already stable in his homeland. Yes, you go there and then they will show you some of these places. You wonder why you move from a civilization like that of Ar or Wuri to Canaan. It was maybe like moving from New York to Chiwenda or Busika, where I live. You see, I mean, Chiwenda, where I live. Backwardness, plenty. You see, yes, poverty, plenty. You leave all your areas of riches. Go, Abraham, leave this place. Why? Because my aims and objectives will not be fulfilled as long as you remain here. God bless you. We have we will continue with one more two to finish Abraham. God bless you.